The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon pies filled the grand dining room of our family estate. Thanksgiving was always meant to be a day of warmth, gratitude, and togetherness. But that year, everything felt strangely tense. My father, Richard Hale, the towering figure who had built Hale Industries from scratch, sat at the head of the table, his expression unreadable. My mother, elegant but visibly uneasy, kept glancing at him as though she knew something the rest of us didn't. I, Emily Hale, sat with my younger brother, Daniel, who was only 22, still reckless and carefree. Our older sister, Victoria, polished and proud at 31, adjusted her diamond bracelet as if to remind us all she was the favorite child. The atmosphere was heavy, almost suffocating. As the servants laid the last dishes on the table, Father rose slowly, tapping his wine glass. The sound silenced the room instantly. "This Thanksgiving," he began, his voice calm but cold, "we celebrate not just family, but the end of an era." We exchanged confused glances. End of an era? What did that mean? He continued, his eyes sweeping across us, sharp and deliberate. "I have decided to sell the company. The Hale Empire, as you know it, will no longer exist. And as for you, my children," he paused, and I felt my stomach twist. "You inherit nothing." The words hit harder than any storm. Daniel's fork clattered onto his plate. Victoria gasped, her face draining of color. I sat frozen, my chest tightening as if the walls were caving in. "Father, what are you saying?" I whispered, my voice trembling. He looked directly at me, his gaze piercing. "I'm saying I am done watching my children wait for my fortune, instead of building their own. I am selling everything. You will stand on your own 2 feet, or you will fall. Either way, my empire dies with me." The silence that followed was unbearable. My mother's eyes brimmed with tears, but she said nothing. Victoria slammed her fist against the table. "You can't be serious. I gave my life to this family's name. You can't just take it all away." Father's lips curved into something between a smirk and a sigh. "That's exactly what I'm doing." I couldn't breathe. The walls of the only world I'd ever known, the mansion, the empire, the wealth that had defined us, were crumbling right before my eyes. This Thanksgiving, our family wasn't celebrating unity. We were unraveling, and I had no idea just how dark the truth behind Father's decision really was. The room fell into chaos after Father's shocking announcement. Victoria shouted, Daniel pleaded, and my mother quietly begged him to reconsider. But Father stood unmoved, his posture rigid, his eyes like steel. "You children don't understand," he said firmly. "You've grown entitled. You expect everything handed to you, and you've forgotten what it means to fight." Victoria's voice cracked with rage. "Fight? I worked alongside you for years. I represented Hale Industries at galas, business trips, and public events. Don't dare say I haven't fought for this family name." Daniel scoffed bitterly. "You mean you've enjoyed the luxury while pretending you were Father's shadow?" "Enough!" Father's voice thundered, silencing them. He turned to me. "And you, Emily, you sit quietly. What do you think of this?" All eyes turned to me, and my throat tightened. I don't know what to think," I whispered. "But I don't understand why you'd punish us like this. Why destroy everything you built?" His jaw clenched. "Because it was never yours to begin with." The words stung. I looked at my mother, hoping for some comfort, but she turned her gaze away, tears slipping down her cheeks. She knew something none of us did. Later that evening, after the disastrous dinner ended, I found my mother sitting alone in the library. The fire crackled, casting long shadows across her face. She looked fragile, almost broken. "Mom," I said softly, kneeling beside her. "What's going on? Why is he doing this?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Your father. He's been hiding things, choices he made long ago, and now he thinks the only way to make peace with himself is to burn everything down." Her words made my skin crawl. "What kind of choices?" She shook her head, unable to say more. "All I can tell you, Emily, is that this empire wasn't built as cleanly as you believe." My heart raced. If what she said was true, then father's decision wasn't just about teaching us a lesson. It was about burying a past none of us had known existed. The next morning, the mansion felt colder. Victoria stormed around, making calls to lawyers. Daniel sulked in his room, drowning in whiskey. I couldn't sit still. My mother's words haunted me. I ventured into father's study, a place he rarely let anyone enter. The air smelled of old books and cigar smoke. On his desk lay folders, contracts, and buried under papers an old leather-bound journal. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were notes about deals, names, and cryptic entries. Words like betrayal, debts, and secrets repeated. One page stopped me cold. If they ever find out how the empire began, it will destroy everything. Best to end it myself before they learn. A chill ran through me. My father wasn't just selling the company, he was trying to cover up something from the very foundation of Hale Industries. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Father stood there, eyes narrowing as he saw the journal in my hands. "You shouldn't be in here, Emily," he said, his voice low and dangerous. I swallowed hard. "What is this? What have you done?" He walked toward me, snatching the journal from my grasp. "It's none of your concern. What matters is that the empire ends with me. Accept it." But I couldn't. I needed answers. That night, as the family gathered again, I finally spoke. "Father, I know you're hiding something. If you want us to accept losing everything, then tell us the truth. What are you afraid we'll discover?" For the first time, his expression cracked. His shoulders slumped, and a deep weariness settled in his eyes. "The truth," he muttered. "The truth would ruin you all." Victoria leaned forward, her eyes blazing. "Then ruin us. But don't you dare walk away without telling us why." Daniel stumbled in, his voice thick with drink. "Yeah, old man. We deserve to know. Or was all this a lie from the beginning?" Father's gaze swept over us, his jaw tight. "Fine. You want the truth?" The Hale Empire wasn't built on genius or hard work alone. It was built on betrayal. The room froze. My breath caught in my chest. He continued, his voice bitter. "Your grandfather wasn't the visionary everyone claimed. He stole his partner's ideas, crushed competitors with underhanded deals, and silenced anyone who stood in his way. I carried that legacy, pretending it was honor when it was poison. Every building, every dollar, it's tainted." Silence filled the air, thick and suffocating. Victoria shook her head. "You're lying. You're saying this now just to justify your madness." But I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't lying. Mother's voice broke through the silence. "I begged him to come clean years ago, but he couldn't, and now he believes destroying the empire is the only way to free you." I felt my world collapse again. The fortune, the reputation, the legacy we'd all clung to, it was rotten at the core. Daniel spat on the floor. "So what? Everyone plays dirty. That doesn't mean you strip us of our future." But deep down, I knew Father's choice wasn't just about us. It was about his guilt, and it was eating him alive. Days passed, each one more tense than the last. Victoria launched into schemes, contacting board members and allies, trying to stop the sale. Daniel drifted further into recklessness, drinking, gambling, lashing out. I stayed close to my mother, who grew weaker under the strain. "Emily," she whispered one evening, "your father isn't wrong about the darkness in this family, but he is wrong to think you can't rise above it." Her words gave me strength. Maybe father was right about ending the empire, but he was wrong to think it would destroy us. One night, I overheard father on the phone. "Yes, finalize the sale. Everything goes to charity. Not a cent for the children." His voice was firm, but I heard the pain underneath. When he hung up, I stepped into the room. "You think money is all we care about? Maybe Victoria and Daniel, yes, but me? I just want the truth, and I want my family, not this war." His eyes softened for a moment, but then he turned away. "You'll understand one day, Emily, when you see the cost of power." I knew then that no matter what happened, the Hale family would never be the same again. The sale went through. News spread quickly. Hale Industries, once untouchable, was gone. Reporters camped outside the mansion, vultures circling the carcass of an empire. Victoria screamed at father, calling him a traitor. Daniel packed his things and disappeared for days. I walked through the empty halls, feeling the ghosts of our past. Portraits of our ancestors stared down, their painted eyes full of judgment. One evening, father called me into his study. "Emily," he said quietly, "when I'm gone, you'll understand why I did this. You have the strength they lack." Tears burned my eyes. "Then why not trust me now?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed me a small box. "Keep this safe. Not even your siblings should see it." Inside was a single key. No explanation, no letter, just a key. That night, I lay awake, clutching it in my hand, wondering what door it would open, what secrets it would unlock. A week later, father collapsed. The stress, the weight of his secrets, had broken him. We rushed him to the hospital, but his condition worsened quickly. On his final night, he called us all close. His voice was weak, but his words cut deep. "I gave you nothing, because I wanted you to find yourselves. Money corrupts, legacy blinds. If you hate me for this, so be it, but one day, you'll see I freed you." Victoria sobbed, Daniel cursed, and I held his hand, tears streaming down my face. "I don't hate you, father. I just wish we had more time." He smiled faintly. "The key, Emily. Use it when you're ready." And then he was gone. The empire had died with him, or so I thought. Weeks after his funeral, I searched the mansion for the lock that matched the key. Finally, in the cellar, behind a wall of old wine barrels, I found a hidden door. My hands shook as I turned the key. Inside was a room filled with documents, letters, and most shocking of all, bank accounts untouched by the sale. But instead of riches, I found something else. Donations, scholarships, hospitals, and schools secretly funded by my father for decades. The man who had seemed so cruel, so cold, had been quietly building a legacy not of wealth but of giving. He hadn't destroyed the empire, he had transformed it. I broke down in tears. All the pain, all the anger, it melted into bittersweet pride. Father had freed us from the chains of greed, but he had also left behind something greater than money. When I told Victoria and Daniel, they didn't understand. They still cursed his name, but I knew the truth. This Thanksgiving, I lost an empire, but I gained something far more valuable: the wisdom of a father who chose legacy over luxury, truth over lies. And though I would forever miss him, I knew one thing: his final gift wasn't nothing, it was everything.